Today, I'm going to talk to you about overwhelm and that crushing feeling that there's just no way that you can meet the responsibilities that you have. I'm Missy Hughes, and I'm a productivity coach. I help you get clear on the things that are holding you back so that you can get things done. So, use the link in the comments of this video to sign up to get weekly tips on how to get things done. So, overwhelm, you have this sense of just massive volume. Either you've got 8,000 things that you're trying to do and you feel like, I just can't get them all done. And so you're like a deer in headlights, or there's this like massive set of problems that you don't know how to solve. And either way, it feels like there are just stacks of things and the pressure on you is crushing. It feels like the volume is too much. It feels like you're not capable because you just can't carry the load. But the truth is when you can what you're feeling is a lack of clarity on how to get it all done, a lack of clarity on how to solve the problem, and a feeling that you don't have control. So I'm going to teach you today how to get clear and how to get a sense of control over what you're facing. So when you feel that sense of overwhelm, the phrase "and then" becomes a big descriptor. You're like, I've got this to do, that to do, and then I got to do this too. Or if it's a problem you're having, it's like, she did this, and then he said that, and then the dog also puked on the couch. It's like everything always feels like a pile. And then the straw that broke the camel's back is literally breaking my back, right? It feels like the pressure is so much, you cannot handle it. And the truth is, if you look at like a to-do list, for instance, it is never done. In fact, it's never done. There's always life happening that adds to your to-do list. There are always things you're taking one off and a couple more come on, and you're taking another one off and a couple more come on. It is the flow of life, actually. We're never like done, put a period on the end of the sentence. There's nothing else possibly ever in the whole wide world to do. There's nothing left to think about. There's no task left to perform. There are no people left to meet. There are always more, right? There's always something. So you can either feel in control of that or out of control of that. You can feel focused and clear about what you want to look at, or you can feel totally overwhelmed and confused and bamboozled by the options, right? When you look at the clarity and the lack of control, it's like looking at a toddler who has missed their nap and they're overtired and overwired. They're maddening. They're all over the place, bouncing off walls. Their energy is out of control. It seems like they've got tons of energy, but really they're just overstimulated and need to shut down. And what that looks like is a total disaster. It looks like things everywhere. It looks like tears everywhere. It looks like too much, right? It looks like overwhelm. There's a toddler out of control, and that's a lot like our brains out of control. Your brain is like thinking about 1,000 things, and it's never getting to the end of the sentence until it comes over to another distraction and tries to solve that problem, only it's not solving it. It's like just thinking about all the worst case scenarios, and it's like overtired, overworked, overstimulated. It's too much. So overwhelm is like a pause button. Overwhelm is your brain saying it's too much. Actually, it is too much. Stop. I'm overwhelmed. I'll just do nothing. How about this? No disasters happen when I just do nothing. When I do nothing, we can just stop. And that overwhelm offers you a chance to look at what's happening. Overwhelm offers you just cut it out for a minute. Just stop. The truth is, it all is too much. That's what your brain's telling you when you feel overwhelmed. It's too much. Please stop. So let's look at how you would address a toddler in this situation, right? They've missed their nap, they're overstimulated, it's getting destructive. The first thing you do is you say, stop. Listen to me for a second. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. The next thing is you lay out the plan. We're going to have a snack. We're going to pick up all the books, put them on the shelf. We're going to read one. So now then you give the toddler a job. Your job is to stack up the books while I grab the snack. And then you're going to redirect. You're going to stop, tell the plan, give the job over and over again because the toddler is going to get distracted, right? So you're going to say, "Oh, I see you wanting to play with the toys. Stop. Your job right now is to stack up the books. We can play with the toys after we read a book." So it's acknowledging what they're doing, giving them, not shutting them down, but giving them an opportunity later and refocusing on the job at hand. So this is what we do with our brains. First of all, we say, stop. I see you spinning. I see you bouncing off of every wall, going to every horrible scenario, feeling all of this anxiety and all of this burden. Stop. We're going 95 miles an hour in five different directions. We're going to pause. Number two, we're going to look at this situation we're in and we're going to make some lists. We're going to look at what's going well. We're going to look at what's not going well. And we're going to create some things to try differently. So then you give your brain a job to do in this process. Your job, brain, is to come up with as many different possibilities of what we can try in the whole wide world. And then we'll decide what to do, which one to try and go for. And then you'll redirect. You'll say, "Oh, brain, I see you wanting to go to this worst case scenario about what we've tried, what we're going to try, and how it's not going to work. Right now, what we're going to do is just come up with all the different options, and then we can troubleshoot and see what kind of problems come up once we choose one. But right now, we're just coming up with all of the options." So this seems really silly, maybe, right? You're like, "Okay, but my brain is not a toddler," but isn't it? Aren't our brains sometimes going so crazy, so irrationally, and we're sort of believing them the whole time? "Oh, you can't handle this. Oh, this is too much. Oh, I don't know how. Oh, this is going to be a disaster." We believe that when our brains offer us this information. But really, when we look at that overwhelm and that spinning kind of thought process, it's usually very broad. It's usually not specific. So we just want to stop. Here's a plan. Here's your job. Stop. I see you're doing something else. Stop. Let's make a plan. Here's your job. Oh, stop, plan, job. When you give your brain a focus, it's actually really amazing at doing its job. It's actually, when it has all the realm to run wild, it is cuckoo pants, right? It runs wild. It's a toddler out of control. But when you can get specific, when you can get clear, when you can get focused, then you can create some solutions. And you're what you're going to want to tell me right now is, "Missy, I feel overwhelmed. I don't know what to focus on. I don't know where to start first. I don't know what to do to create these solutions." And those are really broad objections to stopping, evaluating what you can do, see what's in your control, what's going well, what's not going well, and what you can try differently. So, the difference in I don't know what to do, I don't know what to focus on, you're focusing on what you don't know. You're focusing on what you don't have. I don't know what to do. I don't have knowledge. I'm looking at this hole where knowledge should be. Versus, what do I know? What's going well? You're giving your brain something to see, something to look for. And you're gonna be like, Missy, there is nothing going well. And I would say there's probably something out there, maybe even something that feels unrelated right now. Put that down. Focus on anything that's going well, anything that can feel like a little bit grounding for you. When you give your brain that something to look at instead of that hole to look at, then it calms down a little. And just as a side note, I talk to myself a lot. And I read a book called Chatter that talks about how when we just talk to ourselves, in the author is Ethan Cross. When we talk to ourselves in the third person, it kind of is like giving a friend advice and it calms you down. You're much more calm when you give a friend advice than when you try to figure out a problem on your own. So it gives you that, oh, Missy, we're going to do this first. Oh, brain, we're going to do this first. It gives you just that calming sense of like, oh, there's a leader and I can follow that leader, even if you're the leader. It's the leader inside you. So that's just an aside that you can use, another little tip. But back to the overwhelm part, when your brain's going to offer you, it doesn't know how. That's okay. Find anything that you know and start there. And then you can go into, okay, what I don't know. What that tells you is not this like abyss of how terrible you are. What that tells you is, I need to figure this out. I need to learn this skill. I need to get help from maybe this person or this person or this person who already has the skill. I need to resource myself in these ways. That's what's not going well. And then you give your brain that idea of create these solutions. So I can try this thing differently, and maybe I'll try this, and maybe I'll try this, and maybe I'll try this. And don't try to work out exactly how. Just throw down ideas. The more, the better. Give more, more, more. All the ideas of what you could try. Tiny little things. I can try this. I can have this conversation. I can try this. I can read this book. I can, depending on what your situation is, this overwhelm happens when we've got a to-do list. Overwhelm happens when we have a loved one who's in pain. Overwhelm happens when we're in pain. Overwhelm happens when we are scared of something that's happening and we don't know where our place is in it. Overwhelm happens in 1,000 different situations, but what is common to them all is the sense that I don't know and I believe that I can't figure it out. Pause. I don't know what to do. Do nothing. I don't think I can figure it out. Well, I should do nothing then. That pause button comes in. Overwhelm is just a really uncomfortable pause button that says, I don't know what to do, and I don't believe I can figure it out. So, what we're going to go through is let's explore possibilities for figuring it out. It doesn't mean it's the end all be all answer. It doesn't mean that you're going to find the answer you love. It just means you're going to explore some answers. Then you choose one to try. You can always try a different one later. You can always try something different and see how it works. I personally used to not make decisions because it felt like if I made a decision on this, it was going to be the last opportunity that I have to make a decision on that ever. And I would be like, well, I don't know where I'm going to go to college. Obviously, it's going to change my whole life when I go to college. I don't know what major to choose. Obviously, it's going to change my whole life when I make that choice. Now, I want you to keep in mind, I'm currently 48 years old and I started a new career at 46. So, what I did in college did not dictate my entire life. It did not. It contributed. There were lessons that I learned. There were things that I went towards. There were people that I met. There were places that I went. It all adds up. But the one decision you make today is not the last decision you will ever make. That idea also feels overwhelming, right? I've got to do it right, or else my whole life is going to be react to this. So when we're looking at overwhelm, view overwhelm as your brain's opportunity to say, stop. We got to figure some stuff out. And then you want to look first at this evaluation process of what's going well, what's not going well. What are the opportunities that I can try? What are just little things that I can experiment with? The more you think about practicing, experimenting, trying, it takes out the finality of it. It takes out the like death sentence of your decision. Overwhelm is your body's opportunity to just do a little bit of problem solving. You don't have to know all the answers. You just don't have to know any of the answers. But can you be willing to experiment, to give some things a try, to maybe see what you can come up with? Because when you can find a little bit of clarity about, okay, this isn't going well, I want to try something different with it. This is going well. Let me see how I can carry this through. You start to get some clarity on where you're feeling shaky. And wait a minute, where maybe I'm actually feeling solid about that. But when you're in overwhelm, everything feels shaky. Everything feels uncertain. But that's not necessarily true. It's not the only thing that's true. So when you take that pause and start to look at, okay, let's make a plan, give your brain a job, let's find these solutions, and then think about one thing to try. Then you get to create the clarity. You get to feel the control of, I can try this one little thing. That's within my control. I don't have to worry about all of the different elements of it right now. I can just try this one little thing. Overwhelm is an opportunity for you to take a deep breath. It doesn't have to mean that you're never going to figure it out. It doesn't have to mean that you're not capable of figuring it out, because that's what your brain will tell you. So I hope that you can give that toddler brain a pause, look at what's working, what's not working, and what you can try differently. Give your brain that job to do. We're going to look for specific things and then keep redirecting, keep pausing, keep bringing it back to the plan and bringing it back to the solutions. I'll see you next week.